My toxic ex-boyfriend treated me like garbage and told me that nobody would ever believe me when I explained what he did to me. But after he gave me an open, cocky invitation to try and expose him to the world, I decided to get revenge and do exactly that. And as a result, I have completely tanked his career and his home life and prevented him from getting countless jobs after I spilled the tea on literally everything he's ever done. And I've never felt better about getting back at somebody in my life. Here's what happened. So I'm a 39-year-old female, and 8 years ago, I was dumped by my ex-boyfriend. I'm usually on good terms with my exes, but that one was a piece of work. He body shamed me, he forced me to do things that I hated, and he cheated for half a year, not wanting to break up until we go on 2 trips paid by me. He made a point of telling me in which ways his new girlfriend is better, smarter, and thinner than me. It was so bad I ended up in a mental ward. Oh, and he told me that no one would ever believe me anyways, and that nobody cares about how he treats women. So I'm free to complain about it online if I want. So eventually I got better, I calmed down, and then I started complaining. I ended up writing a "don't hire that one" post online. He has an extremely rare surname, and it's one of those that's either his or it's like a famous athlete's last name, so this honestly helped a lot. I wrote how he can't keep a job for more than half a year because he thinks he's smarter than anyone, and he argues instead of doing what needs to be done. I stated that his references are fake because these are his friends' contacts and not his employers. I also stated how he has a billion courses on his resume just to wear the reader out. For the record, his resume is literally 30 pages long. Like nobody's got time for any of that. And that he did this so that they won't catch on to how little experience he actually has. I also said that he's sure that sleeping with a business contact could be helpful for the business itself, and that women sometimes need to be beaten up to see the light. Now, all of this, by the way, is very true. I had screenshots of chats to prove it. And as far as I'm concerned, my ex-boyfriend didn't say anything about not talking about his professional life. That was absolutely not specified. Now, I am moderately popular at social media, so a month or so later, an HR director contacted me to clarify the things that I posted, because apparently he applied for a position. Well, as you can probably imagine, I saw to it and he didn't get the job. And this happened twice more. But I suppose a lot more HRs are checking social media just to read my posts silently. I check on him once every 2 years or so, and right now he has no career, no family, and his girlfriends are apparently way smarter than me, and they run away screaming after half a year tops. So I suppose that someone did believe me after all. As for me, I am happily married to a great guy, and in my profession, I am a bit famous. So eventually, it all worked out for me in the end. Yeah, your ex-boyfriend made a calculated mistake. He didn't realize that you were going to go after his career as much as you were going to go after his personal life. Not even mentioning the receipts and screenshots that you have at your disposal. Like, this guy sounds like a piece of work. It's very clear that he's the problem in pretty much anything he does, and that he has no right treating people in the way that he does. And this situation is like beautiful karma. This is the kind of karma you dream of and you hope comes your way, because people like this absolutely deserve to have their sins literally like broadcast to the universe. So in my opinion, good for you for standing up for yourself and exposing your ex for the jerk that they are. Because in my opinion, this guy absolutely deserved it. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for not taking any responsibility for the reaction my sister got when reaching out to our birth family? Because as of right now, our birth family doesn't want any contact from my sister, and she is now trying to blame me for this not working out, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my sister and I are both adopted and from the same birth family. We were both adopted as infants, and our birth parents asked if they would adopt me since they adopted my sister. My parents said yes, and so my sister and I were raised together by the same family. Our lives were happy though, but we did have one big difference. She always longed to meet and know about our blood family, but I never wanted that. I don't consider them my family or my parents really. To me, my family is the people that I love and the people that I grew up with. There was never the same curiosity that my sister had or the same drive to want to find them in the future. Our parents knew their names and gave us that information, but I didn't want to track them down with my sister. She did ask, but I wasn't into the idea. My sister started to search for our birth family, and she opened herself to search for any relative. She found out our birth parents were still very close to their families, and she reached out to a bunch of people about wanting to meet. They didn't respond for months, and then she was asked by our birth father and one of our birth aunts if it was the two of us searching or just her. Well, she got no reply again for several months after saying it was just her, and then, one by one, she got replies from everyone stating they were not interested and that they did not want to be contacted again. My sister tried with a few that she did not reach out to the first time, and she got the same response. After she took some time to process all of this, she then started to blame me for their rejection. She said the fact that they asked about me showed that they wanted the both of us, and they were probably afraid of dividing us, so they rejected her, and she also said that I care so little about the people who brought us into the world, claiming that I don't care about the blood ties that we have out there. I told her it was not something I cared that deeply about. I told her that I was more concerned with being a good dad and partner than in finding strangers and trying to reconnect with them. I told her that our parents and her were my family. My girlfriend and my son are my family. Our grandparents and extended family are my family, and I don't need or crave anybody else. She told me I should take responsibility, but I told her it's not my job to do so. I also said they might have had other reasons, and they may have asked about me for any number of reasons. She said that I have to know that us both going might have gotten a different answer, and that haunts her. Things are very strained right now, and she seems to be hurting more because I don't take any responsibility. I have many thoughts on the rejection, and none of them involve me taking any of the blame. But with all that in mind, I do still feel really bad about my sister. So honestly, am I the jerk in this scenario? What should I do? Okay, first off, I want to say that I also feel bad about your sister. She clearly has been looking forward to this her entire life, but now that she got rejected, she honestly seems really crushed. And that is seriously unfortunate, and I'm so sorry she's dealing with that. Like, I can only imagine going through that kind of like work to find these people in the first place, just to be turned down all because your brother isn't also involved in this process. But more on that point, in my opinion, it is incredibly toxic for her to turn this around and be like, wait a second, this is your fault. You need to take the blame for this not working out. But it's like, wait a second, how is this the original poster's fault? They literally decided to stay out of this situation entirely because they see these people in a much different light than your sister. It's not like you went out of your way to like sabotage this situation, because in my opinion, you've got it right. They could have turned her down for literally any reason at all. And I hardly believe that it's because you weren't there involved in this process. Like, that seems like a bit of a stretch, and it's really rude for her to make that kind of like equivalent assumption. And I totally get that she's hurting, and this is probably like a defensive reaction in some kind of way, but she is seriously focusing her anger and her grief about the situation at the wrong person. She really shouldn't be mad at you for not wanting to be involved in looking for these people, but instead, she really should be upset that these people don't want to meet with her. Like, that's the real tragedy here, and honestly, in that regard, I really do feel bad for the sister. But in my opinion, with all things considered, I don't think you're the jerk, and I don't think it's right for your sister to demand that you take the blame, because in my opinion, I don't think you did anything wrong. Am I the jerk for being too honest about why I will never consider my dad's wife an equal parent or even a second mom in my life? Because right now, my dad and his wife are incredibly angry with me, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my parents were 19 years old when they had me. They were together until I was about 1 year old, and then they broke up. They didn't get married, so there was no divorce or anything like that. I also have my mom's last name, and that does come up later, which is why I'm saying it here. My dad met his wife Carol, that's not her real name, when I was about 5 or 6. I met her when I was 6 years old, and she was married to him when I was 7. They also had 4 kids in 4 years, starting a few months after the wedding. And this is because Carol is older than my dad and felt her biological clock was ticking. It was all very fast for me. My relationship with Carol is not very close at all. She has made a lot of efforts to take the role of a third parent as well as a second mom, but I always keep her as just my dad's wife or as someone who's part of the wider family, but is not exactly someone important to me. Now, I have a few reasons for this. She never lets me call her Carol, and she pushed for me to say mom years ago, and we ended up both settling for ma'am since first names are a no-no. She is also very pushy with her religion and has called me disrespectful for not giving her religion a chance and not attending unless I'm forced to. I don't believe in religion, and I was mostly raised without it. My dad converted for her, but my mom said no to me doing it, and I'm honestly so glad of that. Carol also acts like we had years to get to know each other before she became my dad's wife, but in reality, it was maybe about a year. The other thing is that she hates my mom and is not afraid to voice that stuff around me. Carol hates that I have my mom's last name and not my dad's, and Carol hates the first name that my mom chose for me and has implied that she was selfish for giving it to me because it's more unique and uncommon and not a normal name. She has called my mom horrible things, such as a disgrace of a parent, as well as trailer trash, and she feels that dad should have named me as his first son. Then she also blames mom for not encouraging me to use my middle name, which my dad chose, and it's more of a name that Carol likes. She also disagreed with mom not putting me in sports when I was a lot younger, and this is because Carol is big into boys needing sports from a young age, and my mom never considered that a priority. She is just so disrespectful about my mom so often. A couple of years ago, while I was at my dad's, Carol and I were alone, and she wanted to know why I never treat her like a parent, and what she's done so wrong that I refuse to acknowledge her as any kind of mom to me. Well, I then mentioned all of the things I just listed, and how much I hate when she gets like that. I told her she can't expect to win me over when she talks all this garbage about my mom all the time and disrespects me by disrespecting my name. I told her that I would never love someone who acts that way. Well, when I said that, she was hurt. I could tell right away, but she was also angry, and so was my dad when she told him what I said. They accused me of treating Carol with so much disrespect and harshness, and at this point, it's honestly making me question if I'm the jerk or not. What should I do? No, you're not the jerk at all. Carol is literally digging her own grave, and then she's expecting you to somehow be okay with the way she talks about your mother. Like, first of all, if she has like all those ill feelings towards your mom, then she really needs to manage how she expresses that and who she says that to in the first place. Like, it is highly inappropriate for her to say that around you. Like, you very clearly love your mom, and you probably just want everybody to get along. But here comes Carol, your stepmother, stepping in between you and literally everything that you know and love, and basically treating you like garbage. And that, in my opinion, is not fair in the slightest. So no, I don't think you're the jerk in this scenario. I personally feel like Carol's attitude has gone unchecked for long enough, and it's such a shame that you had to be the one to tell her exactly how it is. Am I the jerk for breaking a family tradition by not giving my firstborn son the name William? Because right now, my entire family is angry, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my family has a tradition going back 6 generations in which the firstborn son is named William. My father and I go by our middle names to avoid confusion, whilst my grandfather is known as Bill. It's not that I don't like the tradition, it's just that my middle name James is the name I've always been known as, and I always hated being made fun of when I was younger, especially at school when a new teacher would inevitably call out my actual first name when taking the register, and all of the other kids would laugh at me for trying to explain that I didn't want to be called that. Now that I'm an adult, I know that if I wanted to, I could legally change my name, but I guess I've just gotten used to the inconvenience, and at this stage of my life, it's more of a conversation starter if anything else. I also understand that of all the things to be made fun of when younger, it's pretty low down on the list, and some people would just say that I'm being petty. Anyways, I have recently become a father to a beautiful baby boy, and to my family's shock, we have named him Ezra, which both me and my partner love a lot. We're still giving him the middle name of William, but this is not good enough for my family, who have practically not acknowledged my son's name at all. He's 3 months old now, and whenever they interact with him, he's referred to as Junior or the child. All I really want for Ezra is for him to feel like he is his own person when he grows up, to not feel like there's some kind of burden on him to live up to any expectations that we might have for him, which is something I suppose I felt somewhat in my childhood. I want him to feel comfortable knowing that any decision he makes, his mother and I will always support him, and this is what makes me stand by our decision. But I also can't help but feel guilty for breaking the tradition, and that there is now a slight rift between me and my family, especially when it comes to my dad. So am I the jerk for not naming my son William? What should I do? No, you are definitely not the jerk. You and your wife get to decide what you want to name your son, and honestly, no one else has any say in the matter. It is so disgusting and disrespectful that they would call this kid Junior or the child instead of saying, hey, your name is Ezra. And in my opinion, that is completely unacceptable. There is no good reason for them to do that, and it is incredibly petty for them to act that way. I know that if I was in your shoes, I would be shutting them down so fast it's not even funny. I wouldn't accept any other name or nickname in the slightest, and I would demand that they call my son by his actual name. Because in my opinion, traditions like this are really stupid. It puts pressure on people who never even had a say in the matter, and it basically denies anybody who has a son in the future from having any kind of say in what they want to name their son. So no, you are not the jerk. Your extended family is being really weird, and in my opinion, if they want to be around your son, then they absolutely should use his real name. My family excludes my girlfriend all the time, and it is constantly causing problems in me and my girlfriend's life. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to give you some context, my girlfriend and I have been together for a little more than a year. We see each other 4 to 5 times a week, and I currently still live with my parents to save money, but I hope to move out very soon. My twin sister is living out of town and visits about once a month, and she doesn't like my girlfriend all that much because she thinks that my girlfriend is taking too much of my time and preventing me from spending time with my sister. My family likes to plan things with me, like going to dinner or watching a movie, or whatever the case may be as a family, and when I tell my girlfriend that, she feels left out. I stick up for her when my family wants to do something, and I want to invite her, but they do not want her to be there. They just want me in attendance. My girlfriend doesn't want to be treated as an option on when she can or cannot participate in things with my family. I've tried talking with my parents to be more inclusive, but their argument is that they just want to be together as a family, and that it's nothing personal, but they feel that she is invading our family as they think that she always wants to be involved. We've had this problem for a long time now, and I don't know what to make of it or how to fix it, because I love my family and I want to spend time with them, but I feel they aren't as accepting of my girlfriend. But I also don't want to ditch my family plans as well just to spend time with my girlfriend, because I also want to spend time with my family. Where do I go from here to make all these parties happy? What should I do? Okay, first of all, I think it's really important to see that the girlfriend and the person in this story are 27 and 28 years old, and that's probably like the most jarring same thing to me, in my opinion, because the way the original poster is acting is very immature. Now, this isn't meant to be a slight, but in my opinion, if you want your girlfriend to be more involved in your life and in your family's life, then you need to start being more of an advocate for her in all of these situations. Like, it really seems like you're just sitting there and saying, well, okay, my family says I can't have you over, so that's not gonna happen. By the way, I'm gonna go to this family event without you anyways, see you later. Like, no, you gotta stand up for her. You gotta say, listen, if you're not gonna allow my girlfriend to show up as well, then I have no reason to be there myself. Because from the sounds of it, they don't really have a good reason for not wanting your girlfriend there as well. And that's the thing about this situation, you are definitely not gonna make everybody happy. That is impossible and it is just not gonna happen. So you really need to get that idea out of your head like right away, because somebody is gonna be upset. But in my opinion, if I was in your shoes, I would be sticking up for my girlfriend and saying, listen, you need to include her or I'm not gonna show up. And if they have a negative reaction from this, then fine, they can live with that. Because I know if I was in your shoes and my girlfriend was just begging me to be involved with anything with my family, and my family was still shutting her out and saying, no, we don't want her there, then there is no way I would ever go to these family events, because my family clearly does not respect her or even want to get to know her. And that fact alone is more than enough for me to say that I don't want to be around them. My sister-in-law thinks that I wanted to purposefully outshine her at her wedding, and now she's sending me angry messages, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, I first need to start off by saying that I really don't want you to think that I'm bragging, but I have always considered myself physically pretty, and people have always told me that. It has its perks and it has its cons. I had a hard time because of this when I was at school, because let's just say that I was a stereotypical cheerleader. My point with this is that often other people only paid attention to me because of my appearance, or they thought everything I did was against them. And this was very big amongst girls, which I think might have something to do with this as well. Now, this involved my husband's sister, who just got married last week. My husband and I got invited to the wedding, and it was at a very fancy location. It was truly a beautiful wedding, so I decided to dress up a little bit. I had a baby 3 months ago, but I wore a dress that showed off a little bit more of my chest. When her and her husband were busy catching up with friends, some family members came and complimented my outfit with the always so necessary comment about how good I look, and this is because I've lost most of my baby weight, and you just know how much people like to talk about that. Now, another major factor for this incident was all because we didn't bring our baby with us to the wedding. One of my friends was babysitting for us since she lives nearby, and my son only breastfeeds right now, so my friend had to drive him twice so that I could feed him. The first time was when they were giving speeches, so I went to my car, fed my son, and then she left. And then the second time, some people wanted to see the baby, so as we were outside, some of our family came to greet my baby. Now, the thing is that my other sister-in-law posted photos of the wedding, and she posted one of me and her while captioning it that she was with the prettiest doll, and this is because she calls me Barbie sometimes. Well, my sister-in-law thought that was very nasty, so she posted on Instagram saying that no matter what, some people always want to shine brighter than others and steal the spotlight even on special occasions. I saw that and I sent her a text message. I said to her, hey, is everything okay? Now, she didn't answer that day, but the next day she responded by saying that I can't possibly be this tone deaf and that the post was about me. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then she said that because people were posting and talking about how pretty I looked at her wedding and how good I looked and how lucky my husband was, it somehow pulled attention away from her. I told her I was sorry, but I don't really see how that has anything to do with me. She then said that I'm doing this on purpose, and to back up her argument, she said that in the photo I posted, people were commenting on that kind of stuff. She insists that I wanted to outshine her by basically looking prettier and by having people look at my baby. So I think this might just be some female competition thing, because I've seen this other times. It wouldn't be weird to me if she thought that me dressing up or losing weight was something that I've done to purposefully harm her, because it has happened to me before, but I don't want to be too harsh, and I want to give the benefit of the doubt because maybe I was wrong. So honestly, am I the jerk in this scenario? What should I do? You're not the jerk. You literally did nothing wrong. You came to the wedding, you dressed up, and you had your baby with you just to feed him. Like, the fact that your sister-in-law would act this way and act so weird and competitive and petty, that in my opinion is a reflection of how toxic she truly is. And that has absolutely nothing to do with you. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.